Hello there, I'm Connie.
Hello, I'm Dobbs.
Welcome to The Worry Book, a podcast for anyone who has ever worried about anything ever. In each episode, we'll be exploring a subject that we worry about while trying not to make matters worse or falling out with each other. This week, we're worrying about the environment. It's a big one. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
What are we going to do about it? I feel slightly overwhelmed.
I worry about the environment because
you're a polluter.
I'm not a polluter, actually. I'm not. I don't have a car. I wouldn't mind a car, but I haven't got one. I don't even use public transport much these days. Well, certainly not at the moment because we are still during lockdown as this is being recorded. But I'm within walking distance from where I work, so I'm very good. I do recycling and I put the things in the right bits, except for lids. I'm never sure about lids.
Oh, lids.
But I try my best.
Do you believe that recycling gets recycled? I'm starting to question this now, and I really worry about it. I read somewhere the other day that only 9% of recycling actually gets recycled, and I just feel like it should get recycled. And if everything that we were recycling got recycled, then basically all plastic wouldn't be a problem because it would just be turned into new plastic. But I'm
But
not
if
sure
9%, if 9% of what we are recycling at the moment gets recycled, then we can't say, oh well, there's no point, because then it'll be even less percent that gets recycled.
But
so
surely
it
should be more.
Surely
By the way, I can't remember where I read this 9%, and it might not be true.
Bullshit, but yeah.
But it was a fraction of what you would imagine, and I just think, why, when you send something for recycling, you know, if you've been diligent with your rinsing, and I'm fairly diligent. I'm a diligent rinser.
Yeah. Well, I think we both are. We do rinse.
We do rinse. Then I think, you know, it should all be recycled.
That's very much the response. We've got to all be responsible, but I think that's further up the chain that needs sorting out, and you know, they can send missiles down a chimney and
bang on the door of the chain
in somewhere in the Middle East.
Bang on the door
bang
with
on
a
the
chain.
door on a chain with a chain.
Shake
chain.
the chain up a bit.
Yeah.
From the bottom upwards.
So we do worry about the environment, or we don't worry about the environment. The environment's fine. It's people that's the problem. Human beings ruining everything as usual.
But we are part of the environment, so you know, in that sense, our actions create problems in the environment for us to worry about. So I think, you're right. It is us that are the problems, because we're not looking at, say, for example, blackbirds and saying, oh my God, blackbirds, you know, lovely creatures, but my God, they are gas guzzling bastards.
What?
You know, well, I'm
blackbirds
just saying.
Are gas guzzling bastards.
I'm just saying that, you know, we're not looking at other creatures and saying that they cause issues of concern for the environment. Blackbirds just happen to be...
I was actually trying to figure out what blackbirds were doing. I was unaware of.
Well, it was a peculiar...
Driving a Hummer.
It was a peculiar metaphor.
And that'd be a hummingbird.
It was a peculiar metaphor. But, you know, we're not looking at other species, shall we say.
No.
Let's widen it out a bit. Other species, and saying, oh, you know, it's us and, you know, birds that are the problem, or it's us and fish that are the problem. You know, other species don't seem to be kind of creating environmental issues.
They just get on and do what they were
because they
made to do. I was going to say designed to do. Depending on your belief system.
They've just done what they've always done. You know, they've gone about their business, although they haven't created businesses, big multinational global corporations. So, you know, maybe that's part of the issue.
Well, we were stupid enough to get conscious thought, and then we got a stupid system, monetary system, and then we got a status system, and that all came up, and it became about more power, more everything. So then it was just, what can we do to I read something the other day. A rainforest is worth nothing until it's chopped down. Just think about that.
Yeah, but nothing
monetary in the system. Obviously, it's worth
value.
It's invaluable.
Yeah.
But as far as industry goes, it's worth nothing until it's chopped down.
well, that's
just wrong. Just totally wrong.
Problem.
Of course, that sums it up, and you can apply that to a lot of things.
So maybe, if we gave blackbirds the opportunity to have more of a say,
absolutely, yeah, they would fuck it up too.
They probably would, and they probably would be driving gas guzzling cars before we knew it, and they'd probably be sticking two fingers up.
Yep, they'd definitely have a Twitter account.
They would, they'd be spreading
tweeting
their anti-environmentalist mantras all over the place.
They would be saying
in quite a beautiful song though.
Oh, it'd be amazing, especially in the morning. Do they do it in the morning? I don't really know. I'm not good on birds.
Do you think you do enough then to kind of minimise your contribution to environmental
no, because I don't think you can
issues?
probably ever do anything. And when we started this conversation, I was thinking to myself, oh God, I'm already feeling guilty. I'm already feeling guilty for the things I don't do.
Like what?
Like, if I put, say I was out and I was drinking out of a plastic bottle and I put it in a general bin. Or whatever, something like that. So I feel guilty. But really, I know some people who are brilliant and very, great at sort of, just being really conscientious and doing things. And you won't buy. I know someone who doesn't buy new clothes, for instance. She'll only buy sort of second-hand clothes, which is great. All this kind of stuff. And I think a big difference in the shift of it is we're kind of made to feel guilty about what we don't do and what we don't recycle, when really we should be made to celebrate what we do. So put a positive angle on it, everything you do. So if you put all your bins in bottles in your general waste, which you shouldn't do, and then that same person that does that puts one in the recycling a week when they wouldn't normally, it's not great, but it's a start.
It's a baby step.
It's a start. It's like, for instance, I mean, I'm vegetarian, but I'm not vegan, but I'll often buy sort of plant-based spreads, for instance, or something like that. And I think just that little bit, meat-free Mondays, things like that. People who do that kind of stuff. Isn't that a McCartney thing or something?
Well, I read, because we quite often purchase the Linda McCartney. Quite frankly, delicious. I don't care whether or not this is appropriate, but they are quite delicious. Mozzarella.
Oh, the mozzarella burgers. Yeah, they're probably my favourite, actually.
Happy days. And I think I read on the side of their packaging, changing the world one meal at a time.
Well, I was just going to say, it's interesting.
And I like that.
Veggie alternatives, especially, but certainly veggie foods or pre-packaged veggie foods, they were always like vegetarians. People go, no, I like eating. I like meat without meat, all that business.
That pendulum has well and truly
absolutely
swung.
Now it's about being environmental and cutting down your carbon footprint and the healthier options and the less fats or unhealthy fats.
It's not
and things
basically
like that.
About moaning.
It's not about the wafer film vegetarian in the corner who's complaining about the elephants or whatever. Now we're all doing that in our own little way.
Yeah.
And
I think also it's helped, whether you like it or not, when kind of big business to a degree jumps on a kind of environmental carbon neutral bandwagon, which would probably be electric. But they kind of you need to get that kind of weight of money and
all they care about is money,
marketing behind something to kind of enable something to become kind of accepted as and normalized. Because I think if something stays on the outskirts, as good as it is, if it's still kind of not seen as a mainstream activity, then you're not really going to get the shift.
Yeah, but they've gone from sort of like, it's not mainstream to realising it's their unique selling point. Yeah. So therefore, that's been jumped on.
Well, it's quite cool, isn't it?
And and I think it's good because it's a positive move, but just that whole marketing thing. And the thing is about it, it's so fickle that they think, oh, brilliant, we could sell it on an environmental basis, and then someone else will come along, and then that'll just be dumped to the side because they can make more money out of the next.
That's the worry, really, isn't it? That it's like, well, you could you could be so consciously kind of not in favour of something for so many years, and then all of a sudden, it's like the in thing to be talking about and spending money on, and then the next thing will come along, and you're right, that could get dumped, and all of a sudden, I don't know, everyone could be encouraged to
but hopefully,
be eating meat every single day of the week. And,
hopefully, within a percentage of people, that it will get into their
well, like you said,
consciousness. That's
it's
what's
personal
important.
choice, isn't it? But I think it's like, I feel pretty comfortable with when I really think about it. I do worry about sort of the fact that I should be doing more. But when I think about it, same, haven't got a car. When I was in an office, I could walk to work, just amazing. Having that opportunity. Don't eat meat. And even, when you said that, we've got a dishwasher, but we actually don't use it.
No.
And, because it's more, it's better, I think, although I did hear something to the contrary the other day.
Did you really?
That actually it's more wasteful to wash up with a sink full of water. I can't see how that's possible. Do let us know if anyone knows whether it's more environmentally friendly to use a dishwasher or wash up with in the traditional way.
Yeah.
Which just to clarify is a sink and some washing up liquid.
So you can let us know on whatever, Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook,
email us at theworrybook
at
gmail.com. That's the one. But I would imagine, going back to that, I imagine that if you're using a dishwasher, then it needs to be full every time you use it.
Yeah, it's the waste, isn't it? That's what it really comes down to. I threw half a lettuce away yesterday.
What?
I didn't even tell you this.
No.
I'm really sorry about this. Do you know why?
Why?
Well, I'm going to have to drop the C-bomb.
Whoa.
I'm going to have to mention COVID, and we don't really... We're trying to make it a vaguely COVID-free zone.
Why?
Because when we went to the supermarket, I ended up putting all the shopping away before I'd washed my hands, because I thought, well, I used these hands to take the produce off the shelves and the items, so therefore I'll put them away and then I'll wash my hands.
Yeah.
But during that process of putting away, I took a lettuce.
And you threw it away because of that?
I took a lettuce out of it. Was a half a lettuce.
Yeah.
It was a bit pink, to be honest. It was going a bit manky. But still, we were going to use it. And I took it out, and then I thought, oh God, what if I've just contaminated it? And I've not really gone down the whole, it's contaminated route. But I did think that's, human hands, having touched a lot of things, then on that fresh, now not so fresh, half a lettuce. And you know what? I thought, I'm not going to risk it, so I binned it. And I felt terrible for that waste, because I hate wasting food. I really do. I'd rather eat to the point of discomfort than leave food. And that's come from my parents. And I think they would say that came from the war. Because when there was my parents weren't around in the war. We're not that old. But, they were kind of, they had closer experience. And I think it was that sort of like post-rationing, you don't know when your next meal's going to be here or how much of it there's going to be. So whatever you're given, you eat it.
And do you know what else as well? I'm going to throw this in. We live in an apartment block. It's got obviously recycling, whatever, but there is no green bin.
There is no green bin.
So that's gone into general waste.
The food bin.
So that food has just gone.
I know.
Not to make you feel any worse.
No, I do feel bad about it because, on the one hand, it was a perfectly good half a lettuce.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I got it out was because I was about to use it to make.
You didn't think just maybe
lunch.
Take the top loose off?
No, and that makes me feel worse now.
Sorry.
But I've learned a valuable lesson, and I think of all the wastage, our wastage is minimal.
Yeah, we do.
Excuse me,
I
just hiccuped there.
That's all right. I thought it was a belch, so you just pretended it was a hiccup to get away with it.
It was more of an inward hiccup.
So that's fine. And that's gone into. Does that do anything to the environment? Any sort of gases or something that's harmful?
Well, thank God I'm not a cow, because they are expelling like nobody's business, aren't they? They really are.
I'm probably quite environmentally unhealthy on that front. So a lot of methane gases.
Well, I was going to, when I kicked this off and I said, do you feel bad because you're a polluter?
Yeah, that's what you were referring to, was it?
Casually and in a very non-judgmental way, I was referring to your emissions.
Arse gas, as you often
your
refer
arse
to it.
emissions. But you know, that's healthy in that sense, and I don't think even on a particularly bad night you would be anywhere close to, you know, dangerous levels.
Well, it's not what you've told me in the heat of the moment on a few occasions, but whilst simultaneously trying to smother yourself with a pillow.
To be honest, I'm usually quite complimentary because they're so staggeringly noisy.
They can be quite good. I'm surprised, actually. I don't know what number podcast this is, but I'm yet to... I can't do it on Will, so I can't do it now.
Shame.
But yes, I have not yet.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
Of course it is, yes. Yeah. So,
but yeah, gases, whether human or otherwise. I mean, you know, I don't think anyone's... I did hear about carbon underpants once.
Carbon underpants?
Yeah.
Well, they'll be light.
So you'd wear... But I think they had like sort of carbon bits in them, sort of like sewn into the seam,
bits in my underpants,
so that if you fart, then I think it was more about sort of
carbon neutralizes the smell. Oh my god! Why would you want that?
Well, because maybe you would think about the impact on other people of your noxious fumes.
Nope.
No. Okay.
No, maybe maybe if it's noisy and smelly, then that's a bit, because then everyone knows it was you. But if you can do it without, fantastic. In a crowded area, remember crowded areas, but yes.
I don't remember crowded areas.
Oh, brilliant. At a gig.
Oh,
especially the ale drinkers.
Are you one of them?
Generally, no, I would like to say. I'm generally not, but when I get that waft that comes over, especially from like a beer festival or something like that, and it's like, oh, God. I go, oh, God, that's disgusting. The apartment goes, nice one. Yeah, well done.
Well done,
I'm kind of proud of that person. Never know who it is, and there's a mystery there as well.
Mm.
So, yes.
Do you imagine it's a male or a female of the species?
I always imagine it's a male, I've got to be honest, but I'm sure it's not, obviously, because women fart too.
So. They do.
And they drink ale.
They do.
Especially these days.
Yes, these days, these modern times.
Disgusting.
Yeah, somebody, because we're in socially distanced queues at the moment at the supermarket, and somebody outside the supermarket obviously farted in such a way as to, hit my nostrils, even though we were 2 meters away, 2 meters away, and outdoors.
That's pretty impressive. I was going to say, did you go up and shake the hand? But you wouldn't shake the hand.
I think that is. I think that's rude. And it would indicate to me that that's the sort of person who doesn't give a shit about their recycling. But, either that, or they were,
or maybe they do, and they do care about the environment, and this is perfectly natural.
Maybe they're just
and
absolutely at
one.
It's
a statement that this is a natural behaviour, and why are we ashamed of it? And everything we cover up that's not natural.
Maybe you're right.
Albeit massive business deals.
They were also naked.
Frack in the countryside and all this kind of stuff. Maybe all those unnatural deals that are hidden because everyone knows really they're shameful. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll stop getting all.
They were,
talking nonsense.
It was unpleasant anyway. But I was just going to say, in normal times, what about flying? Because that's a big one. Have you ever sort of thought, oh, okay, I've got an opportunity here to go to, I don't know, Madrid for the weekend. I won't immediately think EasyJet or Ryanair or any of your other preferred airlines. I will think, how can I get there by bicycle?
I'll be honest, no. I fly kind of irregularly. Irregularly, is that the word? But, and kind of just think, right, yeah, what's cheapest?
Yeah.
What's the cheapest? What gets me there on time, and what is going to fly into an airport that's not 500 miles away from where I need to be?
Convenience, isn't it? So convenience is the enemy of the environment.
And often, because maybe playing in a band and things, sometimes I'll go away and play a gig. Usually, you sort of fly in, you play that night, and then you fly back the night after.
That is rock and roll.
So. It sounds rock and roll. Really, all you do is you get there, you get in the back of a van, and you go and you see a dressing room, you play a gig, which is great, and I'm not knocking, it's fantastic, and then you stay in whatever cheap hotel you can find or whatever, and then you come back the next day, so it's great, but
still pretty rock and roll.
Oh no, it's ace. I love it.
Although the jumping in the back of the van bit, that made it sound more like a bank robbery.
It did a bit. Some of the sets we played probably feels like a bank robbery, to be honest.
Country, you jump in the back of a van.
Especially my bass playing. So, oh dear, I've robbed them there. Someone's going to want a refund.
You get to a venue, you get in, you get out, you jump in the back of the van again.
Yep.
And then you get to an undisclosed accommodation.
Yeah.
And then you stay there, and then you leave the country again. Yeah,
quick,
it sounds
quick before anyone realises.
pretty much like crime.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably why they're trying to ban all European tours. But yeah, at the moment, but that's another show. That's another show. But yes, but no, I must admit, I'm not very good on that. I have done like the ferry a few times. I'm presuming the ferry's better than plane. Yeah. Oh, you don't like ferries,
no,
do you?
I do not.
You get sick on them.
Well, no, it's not that I get sick.
I've never been on a rough.
Terrified that I'm going to die. I think I think I would now go as far as to say I have a bit of a phobia of watercraft.
Well, I can't swim. So
apart from hovercrafts, they are, because the thing with a hovercraft is it only goes when it's really calm. So it can do
right,
the
so you've got a safety
thing,
net there.
So you know that they won't send you out into
what if it gets rough while you're out of there, though?
They'd have done some graphs and data mapping to
got some weatherman
check. To check that wasn't going to happen. But so I did once, because I'm not sure, in answer to your question, I would say ships are less polluting than planes.
I think they are.
But they still have a lot of
stuff
being
on a personal level. I can't swim.
Out.
Not that really matters. But I go on a ship, but I kind of get... If I go on a plane, I'm not good with heights either. So on a plane, but I kind of find every time I get on a plane,
you don't have to climb up.
No, but every time you get on a plane, and I'm sure everyone thinks this, I could probably die here.
Yeah, I think everyone.
And then there's a certain acceptance of, well, there's not much I can do about it. I've chose to get on this plane. This is what's going to happen.
I'd love to see thought bubbles on a plane.
Yeah. So as it's going up, I get a bit. Whoa! Look out the window and go. Oh, I feel a little dizzy, but it's fine. I'm okay with the height because I'm sort of inside and closed. On a ship, if I go onto a deck or a ferry or whatever, I look out and go, whoa, and then I instantly think how deep the water is. And then I get scared of heights because of the depth of the water. So I get more sort of vertigo, if you like, from being on a deck of a ship than I do on a plane.
Interesting.
I don't know whether anyone else thinks like that, but that's
because you're thinking about the depth of the water beneath you.
Even just now, that's making me feel a bit queasy.
I get that. That's
genuinely,
because I'm not good with, we've talked about this before, my other fully acknowledged phobia is gaps.
Oh yes, gaps.
So primarily
like
gaps
on a train, for instance, when there's a gap between the platform and the train.
But also stepping stones. Now I know that they're not a common, a sort of something that you encounter every
day. Up here in the north,
but
Northern England, there's quite a few.
Sometimes some people, that's the only way they've got to get to work is stepping
stones. Is that
yeah,
right?
Can you imagine? I wouldn't be able to.
Or cross their moat to work in their castle.
If my commute was stepping stones, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have to turn down the job. If they said the only way to get here is, it makes my feet feel actually funny.
When you have an interview,
a bit jelly.
Can I just ask something?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
But I just need to think, when you have an interview and say it's gone really well, when they go, have you got any more questions? You don't ask them. I wouldn't be required to travel on stepping stones, would I? That's not one of your questions. That might explain why, some jobs, I thought that was quite well, and then you end up not getting the job because they think
it's not come out yet, but I'll be honest, it's not even crossed my mind.
You put it on your CV at the top.
But I think were it to crop up, I'd have to be very upfront about the fact that that stepping stones and me, they just don't.
I didn't sign up to stepping stones.
But so I can see the whole kind of like you and you being on the deck and thinking, oh my god, that's a really big kind of amount of water beneath me. Is the same as me thinking I've got to get from that stone to that stone. And usually
it's a metaphor for career, though, is it? You are actually talking about physical stepping stones.
Stepping stones, nothing to do with careers at all. Nothing psychological about this whatsoever. And so you'd kind of, I'd have to step over it, and again my feet they've gone a bit jelly thinking about it. But I think the boat thing with me is not so much about how much water is underneath. It's more that I was on one boat once traveling from Jersey to Plymouth, I think. No,
make it up. No one knows.
It wasn't Plymouth. It was somewhere else. But anyway, it was somewhere that would bring me back home, having been dropped off somewhere else. And It was terrible because it basically, the rocking and the kind of, it was the rocking and it was the up and down. And it started within 10 minutes of leaving, and they said it's going to be 4.5 hours to get to not Plymouth. And we had a stop in between at Guernsey, and I had to get off. And do you know what I did?
No, sick?
I pretended I was pregnant, and I said that I had to get off because I wasn't feeling well.
Who, to like the
people,
the captain or whatever?
To the people who said, why do you need to get off? And I didn't actually say I'm pregnant, but I sort of like held my stomach in a slightly, I could be indicating that I'm sick, or I could be indicating don't ask any questions about why I'm having to get off. I just need to get off. And I sort of did this kind of slightly pained expression of kind of, I just need to get off this boat. And it was purely because I was just so distraught at the thought that basically
that should be reason enough.
That the boat was going to tip over and just sink. I thought it was that, for me, it was that bumpy. At one point, I was gripping onto the table.
You got off, not just like you got off for like 10 minutes and then got back on. You
got off and got a hotel.
In Guernsey?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And then really hoped that it would be calmer on the way on the next day. Unfortunately, it was quite significantly. Okay. But
well, Guernsey's got a lot to answer for, because I've got a flight story about Guernsey, which is the worst flight I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
So that was coming down, flying to Guernsey. It was delayed for about 3 hours because of mists or whatever, which apparently is quite common in the Channel Islands. But flew over there. It was coming into land. It was absolutely rocking side all over the place. And you're kind of coming in from the coast. I can see the water getting closer. And all of a sudden there's a coastline. And then it's sort of rocking and it's going, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to touch down. And then we went back up into the sky, you know, full like acceleration. Wow. And I was flying on my own. I was like shitting myself. I was like, oh my God, you know, but obviously just sat there cool as out, you know, but inside absolutely dying. And then it goes, oh, we'll just fly around. But there seemed to be something on the runway, was what they said. Went round again. Came back in. This time, whether I was more conscious of it, it seemed to be even worse. Like really kind of going back. So I thought, oh, he's going to have to go back up again. And then we got beyond the point of last time, and I thought, he's not. He's going to land. It hit the runway, sort of bounced up on its side. So like one wing was going down, one wing was going up, and then it kind of came back. It sort of settled. Did in my head anyway. It did like a little skid, little slide, and then. Luckily, we were kind of down and landed, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and voice came up, "Oh yeah, a little bit of a rough landing, but as regulars to the island will know, we get some strong side winds, and that's quite a common occurrence and whatever." And I thought, all right, that's, you know, obviously I'm worrying because I've not done it, but it's quite standard. Everything was under control. Went and got in a taxi, and the taxi driver was, bloody hell, were you in that plane? I was just like, oh my God. Wow. And he was obviously waiting at the airport, a small airport, so he could see the runway. So, you know, he sees planes coming every single day. And must have been quite a bad one.
That is pretty terrifying. You see, so,
the flight back, I made sure I was at the airport about 2 hours early, and I just went to the bar and I had about 4 or 5 pints. And actually it was really fine on the way back. But
Did you sleep your way through it?
I didn't. It's not that long anyway. But But yeah, that was fun.
I mean, on that
not
basis,
very environmental.
On that basis alone, you know, I would say, you know, minimise your flights.
Minimise your flights. Recycle what you can. Do what you can. Don't feel too guilty about what you can't do.
Think twice before getting on a boat if you don't like, you know, if you don't like the thought of...
Yeah, try and think about what you're buying, seasonal stuff, whatever. I'm saying that, I probably don't as much as many people don't, but...
I think one thing I'm going to try...
Just try and be conscious of it.
One thing I'm going to try and do is, even though I can buy strawberries in December, I don't necessarily think I need them.
This is true.
And I think I could possibly, you know, why not have a bit of onion on my porridge?
A bit of onion on your porridge. Onion porridge.
A bit of root vegetable on my porridge.
A red onion, caramelised red onion on your porridge.
Do you know what? That actually sounds quite nice.
Yeah, someone will steal it and it'll be like £15 in a posh restaurant.
I'll go off and make some now.
Okay. That's it then, is it?
That's
call
it
for the environment.
Let's say that we've done our bit for today.
We've done our bit. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.
Bye. Find The Worry Book on Twitter and Instagram, and if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe. We're also supporting Mind, the mental health charity. If you'd like to make a donation, visit mind.org.uk. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.